Alright, so this is problem number 2 in the grind 75, and this one is valid parentheses. So the given amount of time for this problem is 20 minutes, and so we'll begin the timer now. Okay, so given a string S containing just the characters parentheses, curly braces, square brackets, determine if the input string is valid. An input string is valid if 1. Open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets, and 2. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order. Okay, so just a quick look at the examples. This is right, that's right. Let's see if we can come up with an example of our own. So if we had something like, let's say we had something along the lines of this, then that, and then that. I think that should also be valid. Let's just look at the criteria again really quick. So it says must be closed by the same type, must be closed in the correct order. Okay. So let's see, how would we go about doing this? So strings can be treated as an array, so you can iterate through it. Let's see. It returns a Boolean too. So maybe we can use something like a stack or a queue. Okay, so if we were to put it onto a stack, so if we were just to look at our example, so let's see, this would be the first, or actually, let me go back here. So this would be the first, second, third. Okay, so when we stack them on, the first one on is the last one out. So we can, if we had it like physically stacked, like one on top of the other, and we're adding from left to right, let's say we do something like this, and then we have the closing. So yeah, that was the very first one added. So I'm also going to write the other example, just something like this. And for here, the stack would look like something like this, with that on top, this, that, thing, curly braces, and then also curly braces. So let's see. So when we pop off the stack, we're going to expect something of the same. See, but how does that ensure that they match up properly? I'm sort of struggling to see this. The input string is valid. To be closed in the correct order. And so this is clearly not valid. So let's see. You have to also maintain order too. So sort of struggling to see how this would work. I'm going to pick apart the example that we made ourselves. I think this is a little more representative of an example that would be good for this problem. So let's see. We're going to, the first one. So how does adding to a stack even ensure that they're in the correct order? Also, how will we be able to identify between these specific characters? I mean, am I gonna have to write a whole bunch of if checks to see if the character is that? I mean, I would rather not. So, let's see. Also, it's very much possible that we have a repeated set. For example, we could have the same thing that we have here, but then we could easily just have, you know, another set of parentheses out here. So how do we make sure that we maintain the order to containing just the characters? Okay, so I am a bit confused. So can it contain duplicates of these? For example, can it contain two um, open, not, yeah, open parentheses? Wait, that's not a parenthesis. Well, anyways. Determine if the string is valid input. Open brackets must be closed, so containing just the characters. Order. So, yeah, I'm going to assume that you can use multiple of, say, the square brackets. And again, we're going to have to keep track of every time. We have to keep track of the difference between an open and a closed. So we can have, if we're going from left to right, we can have multiple opens chained one after another. But as soon as we hit a close, the most recent character must be of the same type. So let's see. Yeah, so say we took the stack approach and we were looking at something like that. Let's see how that would look. So um, we would start by pushing this onto the stack, and we would have to check if it was a closed bracket. So I think we should, so we're going to have to do some iteration of some kind over input, and then we're going to have to check if it's a closing bracket. If not, push to stack, which we will also have to create before, so maybe step 0, that's a 0. We're going to create a stack. Check if closing. So if not, then we can push. Let's see. So we're going to push to this, keep going. So also, how can we tell if one character, so this could be a bit overkill. just a thought really quick is to have an open set and a closed set. I'll just set. So in the very beginning, we would just add these three characters to a set, and then these three characters to a different set, and we would, to check if a character was an open or a closed character, we would just query the respective set. But I wonder if there's a better way. There's probably a more efficient way to do it. I'm just going to check the time. So we have 9 minutes left. I've not started coding yet. Okay, if we were just very simply just iterate through it normally. Okay, yeah. So iterate stack stack. So as soon as we hit a closed, yeah. So it seems like so in theory you could have a closed bracket first. Actually, that's not possible. Is it possible? So open brackets must be closed by the same type of bracket. It doesn't say that closed brackets have to be opened. So in theory, could you just have a whole bunch of closed brackets? I would ask the interviewer this question, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to think you need a complete pair no matter what, is what it seems like. So you essentially will always need to start out with an open bracket of some type. And as soon as you get it, then yeah. So let's see. So yeah, we're gonna have to create a stack too. Okay, I'm also going to have the sets. Yeah, so these I'm actually going to do. Let's see. Check if closing, push. So then how do we ensure that I think we're going to have 3 if checks. And for strings in Java, we use dot equals as well. Um, do we need 3 if checks? Well, sort of, so let's see. I think, yeah, we're going to need if the item we pop off of the stack is the corresponding open bracket, and the current item we are at an iteration is the corresponding closing bracket, and we're going to need 3 of those, it seems like. So let's see. Do we even need to keep track of a set then? Yeah, well we need a stack. We don't need to know if one is an opening or a closing, I think, necessarily. Well, yeah, we need instant lookup of those 3. Don't want to have to check each time. Okay, so this is how I'm going to do it. We're just going to run through it really quick. So the first thing I'm going to do is create 2 sets, one with the 3 open characters, these ones right here, and another with the 3 closing characters, which are these right here. Then I'm going to create a stack, and we're going to iterate over the input string, and we're going to push each character if it is an open. So we're going to push to the stack if it's open. If it's in the closed, then we're going to do 3 if checks to see if, well, not necessarily 3, but we're going to do a series of if checks to check if the bracket that we are currently on is the one that is at the top of the stack. So we're going to pop off the stack. And then we're going to do that until we finish iteration. And if there is any mistake, then we're going to return false. So let's see how this goes. So doing this in Java, we're going to have to import some sets. So I mean, I don't really need a hash map, but that's what I am most comfortable with. And tree map is usually used in Java. And then, let's see, we're also going to need Java stack implementation. Unless we can create a stack implementation of our own. I'm hoping we don't have to do that. I'm just going to use the standard one that Java has for us. And we are going to start writing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a tree map. It's going to be, are they going to be actual characters? So char, and then, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything really. We're going to make a tree map called open, and we're going to assign it to each of the 3 characters. So and that would be a curly brace, and then that one would be a opening bracket. Okay. So I'm sure, well, I'm just going to actually say set okay, then I'm going to do something similar, but we're going to use closed instead, and it's just going to be the reverse of everything. And sorry, I have to scroll over actually really quick to show what I'm coding. That's my fault. So let's see. Yeah. So this is what I've made so far. So I've imported set and I've imported stack, and then all I've done is created the opening set, and I'm working on the closing set right now. So it's going to look like that. Okay. Let's see. So we've created those. The next thing that we want to do is also create our stack, and we will call this opens but plural, which might get a bit confusing. So actually, or we'll just keep it opens for now, and it will be just a new stack. What of type char? New stack of type char, and we'll make it empty. And then we will start doing iteration over the string. So we're just going to do our for loop, and for int that is it for the timer. I'm going to push through for a couple more minutes, and we'll see if we can get a working solution. So for int I equals 0, let's see. For int I equals 0, for as long as our string, or let's say, well, I is less than s dot size, I believe is what it is. Is it size, length? I believe it is just length like that for strings. And we're going to I++. The first thing we're going to do is check if s.char at and the index there dot equals, or actually no. So we're going to check to see if it's in opens. So we're going to say if open dot contains s.char at I. If that's the case, then we're going to push to the stack. So we might actually, since we're going to be calling that a lot, we might as well make a variable for that. Char current char is equal to s dot char at I. And if it contains current char, then we're going to push it to the stack. So we're going to say opens dot push current char. So if it's not, so we didn't actually need to create this close stack. We can say, so then that means we're going to, first we should check if the stack is null, because if that's null, then we can return false. So if opens equal null, then we're going to return false. And we're going to have to check so you know what we could have done actually was make a hash set, or hash map, I mean, where the keys were the opens and then the values were the parentheses. So that way we would have gotten pretty fast constant lookup, and we wouldn't have to do 3 if checks. So that's what I would have done. I mean, I will actually cut the video off here because I'm fairly over time, and I should have picked up the pace a little quicker, I think.